back to my channel. We're gonna be making a gumbo recipe today. I just went to Mardi Gras and I was really inspired by the food there and I just had to try and make some of my own. I looked up a copycat Cheesecake Factory gumbo recipe because they had several kinds of meat in it, because I prescribe to the ketogenic diet or like the paleo diet depending on what you're doing. Essentially it's a low carb diet, so I make sure to have a lot of meats in my food. It came out really well. I'm trying it in the crock pot to save on some time. So if that's something you're interested in and you want to kind of learn how to live a healthier, happier life, then stay tuned and let's get to it.
I feel like in almost every single meal I ever do for YouTube that I have an onion in it. So peel off the sides, cut it in half, make sure to piece the sides together, pinch the sides together, and use the striations in your advantage so you can cut it easier. And then just make sure they're as symmetrical as possible and be careful not to slip off that onion. Do the same thing with your red onion. I think the combination of these two really enhances the flavor of the kind of Creole, Cajun, New Orleans-esque sort of flavoring. So I really highly recommend you try 2 different kinds of onions. It's worth the extra effort. And then Nibbler's crying above just like I am. I thought I'd show you that really quickly while my brother tries to steal my snacks and food, because this is real life and that is for my last video what I snack on. Alright, so whenever you are gonna cut a carrot, you want to make sure that they're all symmetrical so they're going to cook in the crock pot correctly. So as you get to that fatter end, sometimes you might need to half that. But with these ones we got kind of lucky and I was able to find carrots that were very similar in size, so that can help you cut on time if you're worried about that. And then obviously you can see on this end they're a little bit thicker, but they're still all relatively the same size, which just makes cooking a breeze, makes it cook evenly in the crock pot. And I am using a serrated blades to kind of cut through these. You can kind of see I hit some resistance, and then I just keep on going until I have as much as I want. So when you do this, you want to make sure that they are the same thickness so they cook evenly throughout this. And since green peppers are an odd shape, this can be a little bit challenging, but with practice, anything is possible. Just make sure to hold it on its back like that and kind of rotate it slowly as you go. And then you want to make them about the same size as you would make the carrot chunks. These are kind of a similar consistency and it's similar as far as how they will cook, and it just tastes better in my mind when you can get as many flavors onto your spoon as possible. And I really think that helps in just making a more pleasant and wonderful experience. Once you have those completed, you're just going to push them off to the side just a touch so we can make some more room for the celery. I actually am doing this for a purpose. You will see later why I have them on the same one. You're going to take your celery hearts, you're going to split it, and then I always like to cut off the white part on the ends. It just doesn't cook right and it tastes funny. It doesn't really seem to have any flavor or even absorb the flavor around it. So as much as you need to, and then you kind of put it in your fist and you're going to hold it in a way that they won't pop off each other because of the wetness. And you're going to be able to cut them again symmetrically and similar in size to the carrots and to the green peppers. And you just move your hand down slowly as you go, and you will be perfectly symmetrical, like I always say in every freaking video. And then we're gonna move on to the green beans, which I really enjoyed this because you just get to snap them and that popping sound is just so satisfying. And voila, you were perfectly done! Now that the veggies are all prepped, you can put them out of the way and then grab your crock pot. And as you can see, I use the cutting board just to push all of the veggies into it. This just really helps save on time, and it's just a more realistic thing of what I do. Anytime I get a rotisserie chicken for my chicken soups, which I've shown before, I always make bone broth out of it. We just put the carcass into the crock pot with some water and some spices and let it cook overnight. And then or for 3 or 4 days. So when I pour this, it kind of looks a little funny. It's got like that gel-like consistency. That actually is a whole heck of a lot of nutrients, and those little globs you see it's not going bad. It's just fat chunks and things like that. So if you're on the ketogenic diet, this is extremely important. If you have any kind of health issues or stomach bacteria issues, it is so wonderful to have bone broth on hand, and of course it's got amazing flavor. Now gumbo has a very strong tomato base, so I wanted to make sure I had some tomatoes in there. So I didn't have any regular canned tomatoes, and this was a really great substitute. Just some rotel with a little bit more green peppers, and then some tomato paste was perfect to kind of get this to that base that most gumbos have. And then of course the most important part is Tony's Creole seasoning. You can make your own gumbo spices and flavorings and they will probably come out wonderful. Tony's is just my favorite. I love to use it all the time, and we use it on salmon, we use it obviously in the gumbo, and I don't even know how many other things we use it on. Pork. It's amazing. We love it. After that point, you're actually going to prep your meats. And so you're just going to put the veggies to the side with all the spices, and we're going to add our pork or beef sausage in this case, and you're just going to take it out of the packaging and you're just going to slice it into little pieces. Now some of these can be really slippery, you just want to be cautious. I like to use a serrated knife, hold it, you know, push it against the cutting board and slowly cut through. So I've talked about this with the skin, always trying to get wide. And then if possible, okay. What makes this recipe so great is that there's not a lot of prep as far as for the meats. You don't have to really do anything other than add them in there. Now normally I would also add the chicken in, but it was completely frozen. So I just sauteed it in a pan the following day, and then I added the cooked chicken into it. That's not ideal, but you know, I wanted to be real with you about what happens and what I do to rectify that, because I think that's just as important as cooking in general and learning the skills. I did want to try to cook the shrimp in this at the same time. They did not get mushy. They were the exact consistency that they needed to be, and it tasted great, and we served it the next day.
Alright, so we're wrapping up this gumbo recipe, and I like to taste test it as I go, and I kind of decided to add some more to it because it was just a little bit bland. So put some bay leaves in it. I added a lot of garlic, minced garlic. I added some parsley and some basil and a little bit more of the Tony's sauce and a couple bay leaves. I don't know if I said that already. And basically, whenever I make this recipe, no matter, or really any stew recipe, for some reason the broth always comes out a little different because we home make it. And so I always kind of taste test as I go to make sure it actually tastes good. And I don't really have super accurate measurements. So if I do put the recipe in the description box below and you kind of see them, keep in mind that it's more of a guideline. Your strength of your spices, how old they might be on your rack might be different. Your quality might be different than mine. Mine, you know, they might be better than mine, they might be less mine. The different companies, there's so much that can go into that. So, and of course, there's always the part of personal preference. So you might like it a little bit less Cajun-esque than I do. He's trying to eat the dirty dishes because they're soap mixed with meat. And that's why he gets diarrhea. So anyways, I just wanted to add that in and just kind of keep that in mind for not just recipes with me, but recipes that you do from anybody, because that's always going to be something that you should kind of keep in the back of your mind and flavor it to your liking and to your preference. That's the only way that it's going to work. So as always, I hope you guys have a wonderful week and a wonderful life. I hope that I added some value to your life and that you continue on your healthy journey and live your best and fullest and most wonderful life that you possibly can. And I hope to see you in the next video. I'm trying to do some weekly posts again, but I don't promise anything because life gets kind of crazy. So it would mean the world to me if you subscribe. I only post content that I'm proud of and that I think is going to be good. So if you're interested in that, it would mean the world to me for you to come back. Otherwise, bye-bye. See you guys next time.